heart of what truly matters, our families. Healthy families make healthy societies. I'm Randy.
And I'm Leslie. We're diving deep into the powerful insights of Dr. Randy's groundbreaking book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out.
Hear inspiring stories and strategies to transform your family. We'll explore topics like communication, forgiveness, healing, parenting, marriage. We'll cover it all.
We'll have provoking conversations with experts, coaches, and real-life families who are benefiting from intentional family building.
This podcast isn't just about theories, it's about tools that you can implement today.
We all come from families, so this podcast is for you.
Join us on this incredible family journey. Subscribe now as we learn to do family as God designed.
Transforming families one episode at a time. Remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end. Let's go. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to Transforming Families with Randy and Leslie. I am Leslie.
And I'm Randy.
Today, we are going to have a conversation and explore the question, is it time for a fresh start?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It is a good question.
Is it time for a fresh start?
I think first we need to define what is a fresh start.
What are we talking about?
What are we talking about? As we were exploring that and just looking up regular definitions, we came across this one, and it's actually perfect. A fresh start is when you start something again in a completely new and different way after being unsuccessful.
That's really good.
It's an excellent definition. We think of fresh starts, today's a new day. It's His mercies are fresh every morning. And that is God's design, by the way. We get a fresh start every morning, right? A fresh start around, I don't know, if you ever like just had a bad experience in a city or a job, and I'm just going to pick up and move and start completely over.
Yeah.
Or
I can remember, one that stands out to me. I've served God all my life. I was saved as a kid, and that's been my life, except for 4 years. From the ages of 16 to 20, roughly, I did not serve God. That was my bad years, so to speak. But I remember toward the end of that time when the Lord loved me back. And I remember that idea of, I need a fresh start. I need a completely new and different way of doing life because I was unsuccessful. And I remember I changed my friend group. I changed my career plans. I changed my habits. I started getting up in the morning 5 mornings a week with my pastor and learning how to pray. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever. And so it was a completely new and different way of going about my life. And that was a fresh start.
Yeah, because, and catch this, we want you guys to catch this. Randy changed his habits. He started doing his life differently. How many out there, I'm preaching to the choir on this one. This happened more times than I care to admit, because I'm kind of a slow learner, where you have started something over again. Maybe it's a relationship, or it could be job to job, or where you're like, oh, I'm going to start over. I'm going to start fresh with a new person. I'm going to start fresh with a new job in a new place. And yet you find out in fairly short order that you're having the same problems. You're having the same relational experiences over and over again. Even when you think, but at this time, this person's completely different than that last person. I mean, they look different. They talk different. They're just completely different. It's going to
be completely new and different.
They have a different personality type. It's just going to be so different. But the reality is wherever we go, there we are.
Yeah, right.
We take us with us in these repeated, chronic, fresh start places in our life.
Yeah, and it's not a fresh start.
That's not a fresh start.
It's another lap around the mountain.
And it's the definition of insanity, which is what?
Yeah, to do the same thing over and over and expect different results.
Right. And how many of you experience this as a family show? So with your spouse or your children, where let's say you just lost your temper and you said something hurtful and snarky to your mate. Or maybe it was you stormed off and you
Mm-hmm.
slept with your feet pointing in the other direction that
Mm-hmm.
night. And then, you get convicted and
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean that.
I'll try harder.
I'll
There's one.
try harder. And then, maybe it's a few days, maybe it's a few weeks, and it happens again
And again.
and again.
And again.
Or maybe it's you losing your temper with your kids, and your kids do something and it pushes your button. Hear that? And you lose your temper and you raise your voice and you scream and yell at your kids. And maybe you even catch it in the moment. You're like, oh man, little Johnny, little Susie, mommy's so sorry. I shouldn't have lost my temper and yelled at you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. And little children, like they do, of course they do, because they're wonderful.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow you do the same thing. And the next day and the next day. And so nothing actually really changes. That's not a fresh start.
Yeah. Let me just jump in real quick. Here's one for parenting, right? Your teenage son or daughter, they continue to make the same bad decisions, right? Maybe it's around their friend group, or maybe it's around what they're watching, what on TV or social media. Maybe it's they continue to do things. They don't clean their room. They don't do their homework.
Don't keep curfew.
They continue to act out in behavior that you are trying to change, and it's not working. Whatever you're trying, it's not working. And a fresh start is not just a fresh start, like, okay, son, daughter, just do different. No, it's how am I going to parent in a completely new and different way that's more effective to help my son or daughter, understand the costs and benefits of their choices, be able to think thoughts all the way through, be able to have actual values for things like hard work or purity or whatever it is, and then to be different and have a different result. That takes something different. And a lot of times what we find with families is we're like, I don't know what to do. I've tried everything. Well, first of all, that's not true. Everything is a really big word, and there's an infinite number of ways to do so many things if we were honest about it, especially with God's help. And so today we want to talk about what would a fresh start look like in your family situation.
Yeah. And the word of God is true only 100% of the time. And it's true when the word says that his mercies are fresh every morning. They are, but that's not the whole story, guys. How do you do that? And the word gives us prescriptions in how to actually be transformed by the renewing of our minds, by a change in the way we think. Remember, that definition of a fresh start is starting something new. It's starting again something completely new in a different way. Here's the key, ... after being unsuccessful.
Yeah.
And if you find yourself in these behavior loops, or your family members, your children, your spouses, in this continual loop of trying and being unsuccessful, there's more to the story here.
Yeah. And so that's a real good point. So where in your family dynamics do you feel like you're unsuccessful? Now, that's a really subjective question, because some people think, oh, we're good, because they've lowered the bar so far to be able to cope with things not being, and here's the word, as God designed. That's the standard we ought to be looking at successful through. It's God's design. So as God designed our families, how do we rank or stack up against his design? That's the success bar.
Yeah.
Not just, hey, we haven't argued, shouting at each other for 2 days in a row. We are like on an all-time high. We're disconnected. We don't eat together. We don't talk really. We avoid each other, but we're not fighting. We're not being, I don't mean to be disrespectful.
Yeah.
Please hear our hearts in that. I'm just trying to come up with an example, because that is just not a very high bar. And we're not asking you to take our bar. We're asking you to, with us and those who are committed to building families the way God designed, take God's bar. So as if God's design for family is what success looks like, how's your family doing?
Yeah. And do you even know what that is? Right. We're reading this definition of a fresh start when you find yourself unsuccessful.
Mm-hmm.
We can all pretty much come up with our unsuccessful list in short order.
Mm-hmm.
But unless we know what success is,
Mm-hmm.
how can you make the shift? What in the bar? I don't know if that's the best analogy, because God is so merciful and he gives us such a way, but his way is the best way.
That bar represents my expectation.
Yeah. And so God designed us in the context of family. He's the
Mm-hmm.
first family.
Yeah.
And he created us in the garden in the context of a family. And he told us to govern the earth
Mm-hmm.
out of family.
Yeah. And this is the message that God's given us to take, and the mission that he's given us at the Family Reformation Project, this global movement to restore families to God's design. And through all of our work, what we do is we help families understand what is God's design in detail.
And then how to get there. Because the truth is, when the word says to go out and govern the earth is being governed by human beings.
Yes.
And every one of those human beings came out of a family.
Yes.
And so how we doing? And again, this is not a message of condemnation. This is
No.
hopefully a message of hope. God's way is the best way, and there is a way. And he has given us a systematic school learning format to equip us with practical how do we forgive in our family? How do we really listen to each other? How do we create an environment where we're actually equipping our children to know what their purpose in life and is, and more importantly, who they are?
Yeah, their identity. How do we give our children the truth and have them choose to embrace the truth of who God says they are?
And some of us have frankly abdicated that primary responsibility, which is in the home. It's mom and dad are the primary equippers. That's where we learn everything is in home. But our generation in particular, we abdicated the spiritual formation of our kids to our local churches. And that wasn't necessarily bad. I mean, the Sunday school is a good thing, right? They're teaching your kids about who Jesus is and how to read the word of God. But we weren't demonstrating it and living it in our homes in such a way that it stuck. And I want you to catch this. It's primarily what's happening in the home that sticks.
Yeah.
We like to blame the education system and the social media. Those certainly, most definitely have influence on our children. But it is in our homes. It is in our family of origin where we go out into the world. It's how we take in social media information. We learn how do we take in information from education. We do that based on what we've learned at home, who we are at home.
And this is the cold hard reality. Christian young adults are leaving their faith in record numbers, ever increasing numbers, as they graduate from high school and go off to woke universities all over this country and around the world. And they are leaving their faith. And who's to blame? Well, there's enough blame, or what really better word is responsibility, to go around. But it really lands at the feet of mom and dad and how we've chosen to do family. Have we chosen to do family as God designed? And where we haven't, we have a wake of unsuccess in our family. We have broken relationships.
Generationally now.
Generational strongholds. We've got values that are not Judeo-Christian. They're not biblical values that, in our kids and in our generations. And those kids grow up to take their place in culture, and they govern that way there because God designed us that way.
Yeah. Now, listen, this is not to bring condemnation on on parents, but it is a sobering reality of how God has ordered the family. Now there are going to be those kids, those prodigals that you maybe you did a bang up job, like you absolutely raised them the right way and they chose, because we all have free agency. But even in that, there is a way moving forward to how we do family, how God restores family, how God brings prodigals home, and what our role as parents, if you're in that stage of life where your kids are grown and you've got some prodigals out there, God's got a prescription for everything.
Yeah. And we're going to come back after the break in a moment, and we're going to really get practical with what is that new start, that fresh start that we're talking about right now. Don't leave us now, because you might be thinking, man, I got so many things. I need a fresh start. I need to do something completely different, and I'm overwhelmed. Don't leave, because we're going to come back and we're going to give you some ideas around choices you can make that can ensure a successful fresh start. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of feeling disconnected from your spouse or children? Do you want to create a home filled with love, joy, and purpose? In this fast-paced, crazy world, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters: your family. The Family School is here to guide you on this incredible journey based on Dr. Randall Bixby's best-selling book, The Family Legacy: Shaping Culture from the Inside Out.
The Family School provided us with the tools and strategies to build a healthy family culture. It's amazing to experience the transformation.
The Family School is a game changer. Our communication has improved, along with our ability to forgive and stay connected. We now have a blueprint to raise our son and teach him how to lead his own family one day.
The support and community at the Family School are incredible. We're not alone in this journey.
Family School has impacted our family relationally by transforming how we interact with each other, improving our communication skills to create a safe environment for everyone to be open and fully themselves.
At the Family School, you'll discover biblical strategies, practical tools, and a supportive community that will empower your family to thrive.
Enroll in the Family School today and embark on a life-changing adventure. Through interactive classes, personalized coaching, and transformative resources, you'll learn practical techniques to heal, grow, and thrive as you build your family in God's design. Visit our website at www.thefamilyreformationproject.com. Start shaping your family's legacy now.
Join the Family School today. Learn to do family by design. Hi there, Randy and Leslie here, Transforming Families. We're back, and we're talking about the answer to this question: is it time for a fresh start?
Yeah. What does a fresh start look like?
And we've talked a lot about what that can look like. We want to actually give you some next steps. If you are ready in your family for something that's completely new and different in areas where you've previously been unsuccessful, what can we do?
Well, our first, highest, and best encouragement will be to ask the one who knows everything.
Yeah.
This is something every single one of us can do today, right now. We can go find a place to get quiet, and we can ask God, just very open-handed, Father, what do you want me to know about my family? And let God, God is the searcher of our hearts. Even if you think that your family's clicking along and you're doing a good job, and maybe you are, and that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But he never stops talking. He's got plans and new things and purposes and designs for your family. So ask the one who knows everything. We have given you guys tools in prior podcasts on, we call that listening prayer, Rule 51. You can find that in one of the descriptors. How do I get quiet? How do I hear from God? We've given you some tools around that via the podcast. We've given you what we call empathetic listening tools in some of the prior podcasts. How do you hear, not just from God, but how are you listening to your family members?
Yeah. So these are practical steps that you can take right now.
Next steps.
To begin a fresh start. You can go ask God. That was awesome. You can go back through the free podcast and look at the tools we've given you, because every one of those tools in some way is how to understand God's design for family, and then how to transform you and your family's habits.
How-tos, like practical step by step.
And so there's many. I mean, I think we're already up to 25 or 30 tools that that are in the former podcast. That's a one way to understand and embody and practice something totally new and different.
Yeah.
What else can we do?
Another way is go in and buy the family bundle. Get the book, the workbook, the e-course. The e-course is almost 60. It's videos, almost 60 of them that match the workbook how-tos. This is a step-by-step. How do I listen? How do I forgive? How do I create that fun, safe environment? How do we do family as God designed? Step-by-step exercises that you can do. And that's for you. That's something you can start in at your own pace.
Yeah.
Just do something, right? Like, if you don't do anything, you're going to get more of what you have.
Yeah.
And we believe here at the Family Reformation Project that all of culture flows downstream from family. And some of us are called to government. Some of us are called to education. We're out there. We're sharing the love of Jesus in the business world, wherever that is. And that's the calling on our life. It's not an either or, it's a both and, but it is primarily through the family where we are going to take back the culture that is in such decline.
Yeah.
What's another way, baby?
Well, so we're not short on ways. That's the truth. This is our life's work. And the exercises that we've given, the trainings that we do, the resources that we've created, they're the best that we have to offer with over 100 years combined experience of how to do family as God's. And our families weren't perfect. Like we didn't, oh yeah, we've always had this figured out. And we just, no, not at all. Our families were devastated. Yeah. Both of us. We're a blended family. And there was a trail of pain. And what we have learned out of the goodness and kindness of God is that if we will cooperate with him and do family as he designed, our family has healed and is growing and is thriving. It's not perfect yet, but we are seeing such growth and breakthrough. And as we work with other families and training new families and even families with adult children, all the spectrum, as we're coming together with them in this community that we call the Family Reformation Project and do family that way, it is amazing what God is doing. Here's another way. It's the family school. This is our most comprehensive way of actually equipping. This is not just information dump. We have live Zoom classes where we teach these exercises and then we practice them together. And then you go home and do them with your family together and you come back the next week and you reflect on it. And there is such learning and you're learning new habits, God's ways of doing family. And
you're doing it in community. Yeah. It is over Zoom, but I'll tell you, we've done several cycles now of the family school, and we have so many families now that are connected across the globe that vacation together and they do things together because of the camaraderie in that, how can two walk together if they don't agree? So this is walking out and doing family real time with other people that are super committed to that as well.
We've got more ways. That's not the point, but we have marriage coaching. We have family coaches
we have conferences. Invite us in to speak at your church. We've got small group curriculums.
But here's what we do know. If you do the same thing you've always done, you're going to get the same result you've always got.
Yeah.
And so this is a clarion call that, hey, it is time for a fresh start.
If not now, when?
That's a great point. If not now, when? And you say, well, no, our family's not that bad. Well, I'm pretty certain there is a place or two in your family that you wouldn't mind being healed and grow. Or you have brothers or sisters, or you have cousins, you have people in your sphere and in their families. You're like, man,
disconnection.
Things, we've done a lot of work already on our family and we're doing okay with God's help. But I know some families that, man, I'd really love to see them, help them. If that's the case, share with them the Family Reformation Project and some of these resources that can help them do family as God designed.
Yeah, we have a full certification program too, along with the
That's
family
true.
school. If you've got a heart for family and you want a process, a way to take other families through a healing journey,
Mhm.
these are great classes for you to add to your own tool belt, whether you're a pastor or you're already
Yeah.
working as a counselor.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's another point, right? We're raising up a tribe of family coaches. I think we're up to about 40 now, something like that, and who are equipped to help families in their spheres, in their churches, in their businesses
Mhm.
through these processes. And it is life changing. It's transformative, and we're just we're grateful and we're passionate about what God has given us. And so if it's time for you for a fresh start or somebody that you know, reach out to us, thefamilyreformationproject.com. Join us in the family school or pick up some of our resources and find out for yourself that there is hope for your family no matter where you're at.
Yeah.
There's hope. There's a lot of families that are hopeless. They really have just resigned themselves. It's
Like,
this
this is
just,
good as it's going to get.
and that's just not the case.
No.
God is a God of transformation and healing. He's a God of new and fresh starts.
Yeah.
And if your time is now for a fresh start, we hope that you'll join us. And remember this:
Whoever wins the family
wins the culture in the end. We'll see you next time. That wraps up another inspiring episode of Transforming Families with Randy and Leslie. We hope that today's conversation has left you feeling empowered and equipped to take action.
Remember, transforming families begins with transforming ourselves. Let's be intentional, loving, and persevere. You're not alone. We're right here with you.
We believe Proverbs 24:3. Wise people are builders. They build families, businesses, and communities. Through intelligence and insight, their enterprises are established and endure.
Thanks for joining us today. We encourage you to stay connected with us on social media, join our email list, and learn more about our resources and classes at the Family School by visiting thefamilyreformationproject.com.
Remember to subscribe, share with your loved ones, and spread the word about transforming families. We'll see you on our next episode. And remember, whoever wins the family wins the culture in the end.